What is up, guys, and welcome back finally to another episode of the Monoposto Driver Career Mode. I am so sorry for neglecting this series for about a month. I've just been focusing a lot on F1 24 videos, which I'm really enjoying, and obviously I'm really excited to try and bring a new game, to the point which that I forgot about the series that I was already making. So today we have episode number 88, which is round 16 out of 20 in the 2026 season at the US Grand Prix, and I'm going to briefly give you an update on what has happened in the previous race. I absolutely dominated qualifying to take pole at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, although I collided with my arch rival Fernando Alonso within the first couple of corners. Thankfully though, I did manage to recover to a podium finish, ending up P3, although the race was dominated in the end by my teammate Esteban Ocon. That race meant that my teammate Ocon is now the championship leader, and I have dropped back to third place, now 26 points off the championship lead with just 5 races remaining. So it really is crunch time in this season. This is really an important race. We have to try and outscore Ocon and Alonso by as many points as possible here in this Grand Prix today. So without further ado, let's see the starting grid for the 2026 United States Grand Prix. For the first time since Hungary, it is Fernando Alonso, of course, the man who is back on pole in Formula 1. I've only qualified in P8. I was rather disappointed with my lap, actually, especially when you consider by how much we dominated qualifying at the previous round in Saudi Arabia. In terms of my other championship rival and teammate Esteban Ocon, now you may remember that Ocon didn't make a pit stop in the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and in this season's regulations that warrants a back of the grid start. So Ocon is all the way down in P21, so he may be the championship leader coming into this race. However, he certainly has his work cut out for him today. Other notable mentions go to Pierre Gasly. Great effort from him to take that McLaren to the front row, only a very small margin off of pole position. The Audis in 3 and 4, and also Lance Stroll up in P5. That's his highest qualifying for some time as well. It's such a shame for Aston Martin. What could have been, if they'd had a better driver in that second car, they really would be fighting as hard for the constructors. But I think at this stage we can almost safely say that, us Alpine, we're very much, it's our Constructors' Championship to lose now, and there are only 5 races to go, revving up to 5 red lights now for the US Grand Prix. It's lights out and away we go. The soft tyres are still a little bit cold. Immediately using some battery. It's actually been a pretty decent start from me. We're going to go past Stroll and Jehan Daruvula up towards the first corner. We may even throw onto the inside of Lando Norris as well. Very nicely done there on our fellow countryman, and we have indeed got ourselves up into P5, so that's a great start. Immediately gains 3 places off the line. Now that doesn't happen very often for me. I usually end going backwards, particularly if I start on pole position. So with that in mind, I'm just going to get my head down, and later on in the lap I am battling the Mercedes of George Russell, my former teammate from last season. We're going to try and go all the way around the outside there, though Russell isn't going to have that, although I will have the inside line using a little bit of the battery as we come through all the way through this triple right-hander. And what do you know, all of a sudden we're right behind Fernando Alonso. It's not been a good start for the pole man, although he is on the medium compound tyre. He has lost 2 places off the start, so this will be alarming images for him as I try and go all the way around the outside immediately in the S's, trying to muscle my way past, not waste any time. It's a 14 lap Grand Prix, and remember, the more points I can score ahead of Fernando Alonso today, the better. In the end, I decided to back out of that one, wait to pick up the DRS. I've still got 60% of the ERS left to play with. Now though, with the DRS, Alonso tries to use some of the battery, but he doesn't stand a chance, and we absolutely fly past to get ourselves onto the podium. And it's only lap number 2 already, although I get a really good exit out of turn number 12, and Carlos Sainz has left the door open, so I'm just going to go straight away for the move, and the Audi driver doesn't fight me. So unsurprisingly, a purple sector 2 because of the overspeed we carried. But all of a sudden, on lap number 3, I find myself with Pierre Gasly in the crosshairs, about to go for a move for the race lead. And that was a little bit of a silly move in hindsight to try and go around the outside of turn 11. Gasly had the inside line and a much better exit, although he isn't going to be able to stay in front for long with ERS and DRS assistance. By the time we're halfway through lap number 3, the charge is complete, and we have absolutely romped off into the distance, over 5 seconds clear of Pierre Gasly already, although I am starting to feel the effects of tyre wear on the soft, so we are going to come in to the pit lane. Now this is the catch, my pace is so good, because I've decided I want to commit to a 2-stop today. Now, I haven't done that many times this season because the tyre wear has been much improved compared to last year, meaning that we can definitely go for more aggressive strategies and using softer compound tyres often in a 1-stop. But today I want to use it for a 2-stop and exploit the grip even more, exploit the clean air even more, and that's exactly what I did at the end of the first stint. Although, speaking of clean air, it doesn't look like that's what we're going to get, because I've come out of the pits in P6, right behind the Indian driver Jay and Daruvila. So unfortunately I'm going to have to try and see if I can find an opportunity to get past him as quickly as possible, because obviously the dirty air will be slowing me down, will be affecting my performance. I've still got to try and generate some temperature into my tyres as well and charge some of the battery, so it's not an ideal scenario we find ourselves in. Although look at the grip difference, I just go all the way around the outside in the S's, clean as you like. Now I do find myself with a little bit of clean air. Lance Stroll is the next driver in front, although he has a 5-second time penalty, so he must have been involved in a collision somewhere. Immediately going to the battery, doesn't look like I'll get any DRS, although hopefully I won't need it as we're into the slipstream of the Aston Martin. Here we go, gaining. We'll see, is the Canadian driver going to try and fight me and help his teammate Fernando Alonso? No, he isn't. No signs of defence from Stroll whatsoever, which I was very surprised about, and we have seen that on more than one occasion already this season, where Stroll just hasn't put up a fight at all. Meanwhile, that wasn't even a move I intended to go for, but the grip difference on these fresh mediums compared to the worn softs, which Lando Norris has strapped onto his car, meant that I just went all the way around the outside, and we've caught up to Pierre Gasly by the end of lap number 6 with a purple sector 3, and we've taken the race lead pretty much on track. So now by the time we cut to lap number 10, I'm effectively a pit stop ahead of everyone else. That undercut by 2 laps was so powerful that I effectively managed to re-catch everybody back up again, and now I find myself 20 seconds clear in the race lead. This is just astonishing. I didn't think my pace would be this good this weekend. We're just so fast in clean air, and I guess this was similar to the situation we found ourselves in at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, where I took pole by about 0.4 of a second, which is unheard of in this season. That's been such a close grid, although now there's a safety car. And that safety car could change absolutely everything. Alexander Albon is out. Look at the left-hand corner of your screen. Notice he also had a 5-second time penalty. So there's been a collision somewhere, and that completely caught me off guard. I was just minding my own business, kind of recharging my battery, monitoring the tyre wear, just keeping the laps ticking over, counting down towards the checkered flag and my second pit stop. And all of a sudden, that happens. Completely throws a spanner into the works in my Grand Prix. However, I can't complain. This is actually perfect timing, because now this means that the racing gods have just gifted me a free pit stop. So in we come to the lane for the second time. Going to strap on a set of soft tyres, and I decided to go for the soft rather than the medium because look, there are 4 laps left to go, and don't forget, at least this lap is going to be under safety car conditions. And when you consider the fact that, you know, we managed to stretch the soft tyres to the end of lap 5 at the beginning of this race, I think it was definitely the best choice to go for the soft tyres. Meanwhile, we have now caught up to the safety car queue. Unfortunately for Mick Schumacher in the Ferrari, it's been a really disappointing Grand Prix for him. In fact, he started on the same row of the grid as me in P9. So, you know, he's ended up all the way down at the back of the field with a penalty, so maybe he was involved in the collision, although he's now been told to overtake the safety car, and that notice usually happens when we are 1 lap from the end of the safety car. So Schumacher's now overtaken. He's going to run round to the back of the train and catch up the rest of the field. Meanwhile, I suspect this will be the final lap of me just following the safety car. You can see no tyre wear, fully charged battery, sufficient tyre temperatures. Now by the end of the lap, the rest of the field has caught up, and there will be a 2-lap sprint to the end of the US Grand Prix. Lando Norris in second place, Oscar Piastri in third. I will also say that Fernando Alonso pitted under the safety car, and he has now dropped a few places further down the order to about P6 or P7. So this is a massive opportunity. I think Ocon is on the fringes of the points. He's had a pretty good recovery drive. Let's not hang around. Let's just go all out attack onto the battery. We're underway for the final 2 laps of the US Grand Prix. It's been a good restart. I've caught Lando Norris snapping there. Already put almost a second on him, in fact, by the time we go to the first corner, trying to make sure I use all the battery. This is going to be maximum attack, maximum push lap to try and generate as much of a gap as possible. You can see Alonso's in P8. Ocon is currently in P12. Purple sector 1, nearly 0.6 of a second up. And we're just going to ride on board as a time lapse for this entire lap, because what a lap it was. Sainz all of a sudden now finds himself up in P2. In fact, no, he's fighting with Lando Norris. So Sainz also got past Oscar Piastri, and they're battling for the whole lap, and that's invited me to pull out a margin of 7 seconds. Yes, 7. They've been clearly been fighting each other so much that I've just been able to romp away into the distance, and with the clean air, fresh softs, and dumping the entire battery on one lap, look what we can do. 1:29.850. That was nearly 4 seconds quicker than my previous best fastest lap of the Grand Prix. And that lap put to bed any hopes of any of the Audi drivers winning this Grand Prix, because now as we come out of the final corner for my 4th victory of the season, what a recovery drive to get our championship back on track as we take victory at the US Grand Prix, and I win for the 4th time this season. First in Bahrain, then my home race at Silverstone, then the Italian Grand Prix, and now we have won at the Circuit of the Americas with a fantastic drive. The charge to the front was completed by the time we got to the end of lap number 3, and I never looked back since, with sublime pace and clean air to pull away from my rivals and in the end dominate the race. A full complement of points with the fastest lap bonus point as well. Sainz and Norris complete the podium. It was a very good final couple of laps for the Spanish driver to go from P4 up to P2. The other Spanish driver also had a very good final 2 laps, because Alonso was P8 when the safety car went in and he ended up P4, so I guess that was a really good recovery drive. He saw the danger and recovered from it. Meanwhile, my teammate Ocon did very well, to be fair to him, started in P21 and recovered up to P8. So all my championship rivals did end up scoring points, although thankfully I scored the most. I outscored Fernando Alonso by 14 today, and thankfully that brings me back to within 7 points of the championship lead. Fernando Alonso retakes the lead of the Drivers' Championship. He is on 239 points. My teammate Esteban Ocon falls to 2nd place, obviously after having taken that grid penalty this weekend. Who knows where he would have finished had he had an ordinary qualifying, not had to take the grid drop. Nevertheless, Ocon is now P2 in the championship on 236 points, 3 points off the lead, and I am still in 3rd, although now on 232, only 4 points behind my teammate. So this race was a great one. This is exactly what we needed to get my championship hopes back on track, as with 4 Grand Prix to go, we are only 7 points off the lead of the championship. There's the rest of the final results from the US Grand Prix. Good to see points from Tsunoda and Drugovich as well, are the drivers who haven't scored too many points this season. In addition, Gasly, Russell and Piastri all having some strong showings. Piastri though was P3 when the safety car went in and dropped all the way down to P7, so he seemed to really struggle at the end. Maybe he didn't pit under the safety car and everyone else around him had fresh tyres. But that's just about it for today's video. You can see the Drivers' Championship in the Constructors. We're now over 100 points clear of Aston Martin for the first time this season, so I think with just 4 races to go, you can safely say that we well and truly have one hand on the Constructors' Championship trophy, which is great. But that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to like, share and subscribe. Remember to follow me on Instagram and join my Discord server, both links are in the description below. And I'll see you guys all next time. Goodbye.